let me reply to Ashik because he's saying he can't see the feed.
Oh, fuck. So I went live. I'm sorry. Okay. I think it glitched out. I'm sorry about this. Now we're live. Oh, fuck. Really sorry about this. Should I just play the intro again?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. I'm really sorry about that. We're live now.
Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. For the people in the chat, don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 3K. Big up our partners, manscaped.com. Go check them out. LBI20 to get 25% off and free shipping on manscaped.com on the occasion of Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Black Friday, I think it's still ongoing. Cyber Monday sales should be up and running tomorrow. Go show them some love so that they show us some love. Go also check out fanatics.com, the biggest collection of sports apparel online. I repeat, the biggest collection of sports apparel online. Official partners of Real Madrid and La Liga as well. Go check them out. They have site-wide offers. We don't have a promo code for them. They usually have site-wide offers throughout the week, and I think it changes every bi-week. Sometimes they change weekly as well. So keep an eye out. Also, if you guys didn't know, now you know this pod is powered by the Talksport Fan Network. Talksport, of course, the world's biggest sports radio station. They have their own radio channels, YouTube channel. You know, their social media platforms. Go show them some love over there. Obviously, they specialize in the Premier League, but they obviously kind of is branching out to the European leagues and kind of focusing on what happens outside England as well as we speak. So it's an absolute honor to be collaborating with them. This season it wasn't something that we had we had kind of in our minds. So it took me by surprise, took everyone by surprise. So it's humbling to see that some of our efforts actually do get noticed by people even outside our own league. But yeah, a big up Sahil, my co-host for today. We actually had started the stream half an hour ago, but there was some technical difficulties that didn't allow us to actually go live. It wasn't actually in our hands, so we would like to apologize for people who were actually waiting in the chat. That there wasn't anything we could do. Um, but yeah, talk to me, Sahil. Getafe at home.
Yeah. First of all, sorry about the stream. It was just endlessly stuck on the going live page. Sorry to the viewers and yeah, moving on to the performance. We pretty much knew what we were gonna get with Getafe at home. I think we'd been dominant the past couple games in La Liga, but that form obviously didn't translate to the Champions League. We were coming off the back of a depressing defeat at Anfield, and we just had to somehow get that win and then move on. I think at this point of the season, it's not about making the win look pretty because we know that's not happening. But even going by that standard, this was better than most other wins that we've witnessed. It's just the lack of clinicality towards the end, and in that second half particularly, was a bit of a concern. And the scoreline could have been much worse than what it was because Getafe were literally there for the taking for most of the game.
Mm.
But yeah, it's just a pity that we couldn't make it worse for them.
That's my question, right, Sahil? In our previous take of the same post match, I was asking you this question.
Yeah.
If we can't do the job, exceedingly well against a Getafe side who barely laid a glove on us, right? Who looked incredibly toothless. They had maybe a couple of odd chances where they hit the post. I did like the turn by Uche, who basically sent Rudiger the other way, and he
Mhm.
at least a shot off from an
And got injured
unexpected
in the
angle.
process.
Oh yeah, he pulled his hamstring straight away. It was funny to watch. No disrespect there, but it's just unfortunate. But yeah, they had their moments, but in totality, Sahil, it's a game that barely posed us a threat, right?
Mm.
Even for a depleted side like us, there was so many opportunity for so many of the rotational players to actually stake a claim. Some of them did, and we should start with Mbappe, especially on the back of the criticism he has been getting in the past few weeks and
Yeah.
how his overall form has deteriorated. For me personally, brilliant finish. You can't take anything away from the finish. Like you said earlier to me, he kind of made it difficult for himself, but the finish was top notch. We have seen Mbappe do that before. He has a knack for actually, hitting the shot low, kind of making it unpredictable for the keeper, who is expecting a Kala uh, with a bit more height on it. But this definitely took Soria by surprise. And Soria is no average Joe. He is a seasoned La Liga keeper. Ample years of experience under his belt. He was completely bamboozled by it. Um, then again, that was the first half. The morale was high. The fans were up for it. You could see, the people at the stadium, they really wanted to root for him. But once the second half kind of panned out, we saw the crowd getting incredibly frustrated. Some of the chances that fell to him, you could say he didn't quite really make the most out of, or some on
Yeah, you
some
can
occasions you
outrightly
could
say
say,
that.
yeah. You could also say maybe he overcooked some of those chances where a bit more nuance would have definitely guaranteed him a hat trick tonight.
Yeah.
The fans really looked like they wanted to back him, but when he is really getting caught up in his own mind, it is difficult to watch for me, honestly, Sahil. But yeah, man, your 2 cents on Mbappe.
No, he's definitely going to hurt his public image as well when
Mm,
you see him round the keeper and miss like that, or miss so many one-on-ones in the second half. I know, regardless of the remarkable finish that he, scored in the first half, I think nobody's
hmm
going to talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think it would have been safer to just at this point. Obviously I can say in retrospect that it would have been
mm
safer to just take him off
mm
at the 60th minute, right?
mm
Um, and then nobody would have gotten to speak about his misses.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it does seem that he is to an extent starting to find his feet in this
Yeah.
attack,
hmm
and it goes without saying that without Vinicius Junior in the team, he had more space out in that left flank, more
Yeah.
breathing room, you could say.
Yeah.
You could see him occasionally cut in as well, but that was
hmm
as per his liking. He didn't have to follow on and get his movements in sync with another forward. I think Rodrigo was mostly at a good distance from Mbappe. It was Bellingham and Brahim who were really fluid and really in that vicinity around him. So it's great that he's starting to complement the abilities of the players around him as well, because obviously Bellingham's pass to him was inch perfect, but for him to actually stay on side and receive the ball and then finish it for himself is everything we've been asking of him these past 4 months.
Yeah.
And now to do it consistently is another thing, but
Mm.
um, it's
That's my
just,
question,
yeah,
right?
specifically
Wednesday.
just about that.
Mm. Wednesday San Mames, right? And then it's Atlanta next midweek,
Hmm.
and then and then it's Brest and Salzburg in Jan. So in games where we are kind of forced to take the honors on us and basically see out the game as winners, how geared up would this guy be is my question, because in a perfect environment, Like I completely agree. Like there were so many positive signs, like the way he kind of combined with Fran, with Jude Bellingham, nice 1-2s. The 1-2 he did with Brahim as well. Where if Brahim shows a bit more cojones and goes for the volley, Soria might have been caught out by surprise and could have sneaked in his near post, but it didn't. uh, Mbappe showed clear signs of improvement, but my question is, this is a perfect environment like you were mentioning, right? Like he is major he's majorly being deployed out on the left, where Vinicius would usually take up large amounts of his 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 time over there, um, in a setup that is kind of equipped to feed him, and against an opposition who didn't really give him much to think about in terms of getting past people and getting around defenders. If he can't really get a hat trick from three one-on-ones in the second half, so it begs the question, right? It really begs the question. Um, if this was a knockout game and he did this after the game, would we be in the same mode, or would we be in the? I mean, the circumstance is everything, right? The context is
Yeah.
everything. But if this was a knockout game and we get knocked out, despite his brilliant finish in the first half, would we be so kind?
No, we wouldn't. But the simple
Mm,
truth is that it wasn't.
mm,
So we have to live in the circumstance that we are given.
mm,
Um, and luckily for Mbappe, it was a La Liga game. There were not
yeah.
too many eyes on the game.
Mm,
Uh, and had it worked out, those two or three chances that he put them away, it would have been
yeah.
something to write home about. Definitely,
Mm,
it would have been his first real highlight of his Real Madrid career. But
yeah.
it's just a pity that his confidence and just his output at this point in time is um, tremendously at a low.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of the finish that he showcased in the first half, it was an incredible stroke of skill.
Yeah.
But then again, he shows us in the second half how tremendously low he can go,
Mm,
because to round the keeper and to not score from there, or
yeah.
another one-on-one chance that Modric.
Vinicius is putting that away 9 times out
Yeah.
of 10.
No, again, not even Vinicius. Anybody, I think,
Mm,
even Endrick would have put that away.
mm,
As reckless as Endrick can be, I think even Endrick would have put it away.
mm.
And even the other one, Modric has laid it out on a platter for him, and he just doesn't get the right touch.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, there were glimpses of real good signs of connection between him, Brahim Diaz, Bellingham, obviously. So it's great that these guys are starting to gel together, at least to a level. But yeah, it's his ability to complement his other forwards that is going to foreshadow his individual ability a lot in these
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. He like I really do think he has to completely sort out his touch, man. Like it has to be
Yeah.
lot more better for someone who is gonna be swarmed, right?
Hmm.
Like let's not kid ourselves. Like Mbappe is gonna be the most targeted,
Yeah.
second most targeted player on our team after Vinicius. Like no matter what form he is gonna be in, people are gonna be up up close and personal with Mbappe, regardless of the competition it is, or regardless of what the circumstances is going to be. So
Yeah.
he really has to show himself a bit more, especially in tight situations where it's a matter of a fine touch you know that could basically define a move, whether it is basically a turnover or a good build up that kind of results in something substantial. But yeah,
That is true. Yeah.
mm,
That's one of the few parts of his games that is still not caught on. I think even his box
mm,
presence is still um, not as good as we'd like. But obviously,
yeah,
that's not as noted upon, because again, we're not playing with Vinicius in the team. Plus,
hmm
I think Brahim and Brahim and Rodrigo had enough of a box presence to really not require Mbappe there.
hmm Well, thoughts go out to Eduardo Bove, who actually collapsed in the Fiorentina Inter game. I hope he's all right.
Oh,
Kind of shit news coming out of Florence. I hope
mhm.
uh, everything is fine. But yeah, uh, moving on to um, moving on to Brahim. I think he was exceptional again. In a role that really didn't ask much of him. Especially his work rate is something that I really like. Exceptional might be a bit far fetched, but I
Mhm.
do think Brahim adds a unique touch whenever he is either starting for us or coming off the bench. That pass on the turn for Mbappe, that should have been a goal. You
Yeah.
can't really lay it on a platter better than that, can you? Brahim was really good for me.
Okay, really good might be stretching it, but it's just
Mm,
what we expect from Brahim as fans. I think I have a different outlook of that than I think you, because I see him as a sort of direct replacement for Asensio, where we are looking for output and we're looking for goals and assists.
hmm
In any situation he plays, I think he has to be able to produce, and he just wasn't there. And I think the output is definitely what we're looking for when it comes to Brahim, regardless of everything that he does.
hmm
I know his energy levels and his work rate is always a plus. And that wasn't really the case with Asensi, who was a lazy player off the ball.
Yeah.
And Brahim offers a lot more off the ball. So that's there again. He's not going to be starting every game, but with the minutes that he's afforded, I think he's doing well for himself. And you can say the
Mhm.
same about Fran. You can say the same about Ceballos as well. It's just that given the context of our injury crisis, Ancelotti is being forced to play these players. I don't think he would play them, by choice
Mm.
if he had to.
Brahim, I do think, like even if he doesn't start games, like he's gonna
Yeah,
be the first name of the bench like he was last season, and he's gonna give us so much more value than some of
and
the players.
versatility
Yeah.
because he can play right wing, left wing, and 10.
And 10, and his we have all seen his effectiveness from the 10th position is
Mm.
only second to Jude Bellingham in the team. He is really good. I think he is more effective than Rodrigo when being deployed at the 10. But yeah, Brahim, decent for me. um then again, I do think he should give Mbappe an assist, for that flick. If he
Yeah,
hits it first time, Soria is
mm.
is beaten is beaten. Um, but yeah, attackers. Gula came on later in the half. In the second half for Jude Bellingham, but he was deployed in midfield, a different role. But I don't think the attackers kind of. And yeah, let me look at a few of the comments before we move on. Ashik was mentioning, big up Ashik was mentioning, better from the boys, a good goal taken by Mbappe, but they went to sleep last 10 minutes, didn't like that. That's usually the case, right? Like we just drift off once the game is done. That's classic Carlo setup where we kind of sit back and absorb, possession and not overexert ourselves.
I think we were
Um,
still relatively keen to expand the deficit after we scored that second, but it
oh
just
yeah.
faded out. It just faded out as Mbappe kept missing those 2 or 3 chances.
Yeah,
Then
the
beyond that,
Guler
I just think
Mbappe
we did that.
combination was nice,
Hmm.
if you remember. Towards the end, Guler and Mbappe, they
It
kind of
was,
did
yes.
well. Mm. Mr. Fortes was asking us, want to take bets on who got injured today? Expected injury 6.0. I feel no joy anymore. He's talking about, I think, Jude Bellingham. Right. It's a precaution. I don't think it's going to be much much worse than it looks. It's just a precautionary substitution. As
Hmm.
mentioned, cannot go to San Mames like this. Ashik was mentioning one point with the game in hand. Right. Ashik was also mentioning we stopped last minute, but midfield tracking for the most part was really good. And Ceballos minus that one rock for brain moment was very composed. Yeah, I remember the moment where Ceballos kind of overcomplicates it at the edge of our own box, and he kind of loses it. But then he also recovers the ball, so fair play to him. I think
Yeah.
we should start with Ceballos since we're on him. Exceptional performance. One of the best players on the pitch. He really. kind of showed his full range of passing, and there were too many key passes I can think of, especially tonight, that if the attack makes better use of it, like Ceballos would be held in much higher regard than we are actually doing right now. But then again, I know this is another flash in the pan for Ceballos, who has struggled to kind of replicate his high nines, high eights with us. You can feel a bit empathetic with him because of the circumstance that he's kind of faced up with. He's dealing with Cruz, Casemiro, Modric. Now it's Camavinga, Jude Bellingham, Fede. You can't really ask for any manager to kind of bench them and start Ceballos ahead of them. But um, whenever he gets the chance, he really hasn't looked this good, consistently. That's his biggest detriment. Um, but tonight was an exception. He kind of was extremely proactive in his passing side.
Yeah, that is true. I think when you look at a player like Ceballos, we often don't look at his ability because there's not much worth looking there when it comes to starting for Real Madrid. So there's not really a conversation to be had there. But I think you look more in the direction of utility, which is how much can he offer you in a given situation. So it's about using him in the right situation against the right team for the right game, which I think tonight was perfect because Getafe put barely any pressure on him, and that allowed him to play a lot of progressive passes and allow us to enter the second phase of midfield. And also, he was bringing the ball out of the back a lot more than I have seen Tchouaméni or Camavinga do. Right, so he starts really deep. He starts basically at the feet of the centre backs, and then he brings the ball up to basically where Valverde and Bellingham can receive. And that's a job I think not many players in this Madrid team are either ready to do or are sufficiently capable of performing. I know Camavinga and Valverde and even Tchouaméni are incredible in their own rights, but they're different players. So Ceballos just happens to be a good fit for a team that's just lost Toni Kroos with his ball circulation and with how much of the ball he's comfortable keeping throughout the length of the game. And again, the only downside with him is that his consistency isn't really ever, a talking point, at least in the positive sense. But you can see that about a lot of other players, even at Real Madrid. So you get the best out of such players, and I think Ancelotti is doing that right now. With other guys like Vasquez, it's never really been a problem. But yeah, as far as adaptability goes, I think you've got to give Ceballos his credit, and he seems to be right now the most natural stylistic replacement to Kroos, not in terms of ability or the numbers or even how good he is as a player, but simply stylistically with the players that we have. I think he's the most direct replacement to that, and that is why I think with Ceballos in the team, our midfield seems a lot more balanced.
Yeah, in an ideal world, if he was half decent, Sahil, that's the honest truth. If he
we
was
would have
half
taken him.
decent,
We would have kept him. I'm telling you.
We still would keep him because he is a good rotational option. But I'm talking about if he was half decent to start consistently, like that kind of
there would have been conversations of him starting. Yes,
a player who can recycle possession effectively. We would always have had a role for him, but
but it's just that I don't think he has developed his game in a way that we really have that conversation. I don't think he's added anything to his game.
But that's the thing. Has he had any significant minutes, Sahil?
That's
How can
true,
he
but
add
even then,
if he doesn't get minutes?
You see other guys who play barely in any minutes of the bench. I think even Brahim, I don't think we'd ever seen him play, with his right foot a lot earlier in his career. But he has grown to make that part
the Milan
of his
stint changed Brahim's trajectory.
Because that's, I think, where he realized that he has to eventually play on both wings. So he got better.
And he got consistent minutes, Sahil. He was a starting player.
But it's just that as far as Ceballos is concerned, if he can add maybe set pieces or his distribution to the game, That will be vital.
Mhm. Yeah, Mr. Photos is mentioning. I mean, the Panchan was mentioning Ceballos, if fit, is better than Chouameni. I'm not sure, but Chouameni this season, especially in midfield, has left me, fuming. So you
Yeah.
never know. You never know. San Mames is a big test for Ceballos, and I think Chouameni is back. I'm not sure what Carlo is going to do, if he's going to actually throw Chouameni in from the get go.
Because it's
I would,
difficult benching Raul
yeah.
Asensio right now as well. Yeah, he's looking composed on the ball. I don't think there's any
Mm,
flaws with his game that have
mm,
been exposed just yet. So I think Asensio is really comfortable there. It's a tough decision for Ancelotti where to put Chouameni in. I think
mm.
midfield is probably easier to put him in right now.
Yeah, yeah. But the midfield synergy is what was
You
basically one
disturb
of the
that, right?
biggest.
Yeah,
Yeah, was one of the biggest positives of tonight, especially because, like, if you remember, whenever Jude Bellingham um, went forward, there was ample cover, and whenever someone like Fede bombed up, or when Brahim was kind of caught up upfield, they worked in tandem. Like, there was clear understanding, clear role reversals among the three, that kind of enabled us to be well protected if we were, caught out deep, in areas of danger, or if we needed additional support from
yeah,
midfield, for the attackers, especially at the edge of the Getafe box. I think we dealt the midfield equation very well tonight. So, like, I wouldn't think it's as straightforward as one might think. But then again, it's Carlo. He has his favorites. He has a certain, pecking order that he would like to abide by, and that would, kind of force his hand to take Ceballos off. But I would really like to see what would Ceballos do at San Mames. Then again, like, I've had previous experiences all throughout his career with us, where he really excels in a particular game, and then once the stakes go a bit higher, Ceballos because kind of missing, and it's back to sideways passes all over again.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, Jude Bellingham, we should definitely talk about Jude Bellingham. The reason why we won 2-0, exceptional pen, incredibly ice cold pen from Jude Bellingham. Soria would be looking back at it and thinking, man, this guy has some confidence to actually do what he did, not even look at the ball, and then just kept looking at Soria, giving him the eyes, and slotted one side of him. Sile, talk to me. Jude Bellingham, yet again.
Oh yes, I think that was the standout moment. I know he played
Mm,
an exceptional pass to Mbappe, but he's been well
yeah.
known to do that. Um, and that goal, obviously, it will be talked about more for Mbappe's finish. But the penalty in itself, I know there's additional context going into this game because Mbappe's just missed one going into it, and
Hmm.
then you ask about you have questions about if you get a penalty tonight, who takes it, right? And
Yeah.
I know some people would have been. I think I myself was surprised that Bellingham was given
Hmm.
the penalty, but again,
Hmm.
it's not the wrong call in any sense.
Yeah.
Bellingham, I
Yeah.
know, is an accomplished footballer. He's, I think, mentally at the top of his game right now, even regardless of the goals and assists drying up.
Hmm.
Uh, so in that aspect, I don't think there's any mind games that Sorry or even another keeper can possibly play with Bellingham to get into his head. So I don't think he was gonna ever going to miss that.
100%. hundred
I know it was
percent.
close to Saria's
Yeah.
feet, but still,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
the composure with which even his technique, like you can look at it and tell that he's been practicing that. I know he's only taken
Mm.
4 penalties in his career, but he's done that tried and
He's got
tested.
to be the
Yes,
second
yeah,
in
and
line to take pens, right?
he's clearly ready for it.
Yeah.
Even if he was third or fourth, Bellingham is just the kind of player to be ready for any situation the game asks of him. Tomorrow, if you ask him to take a corner kick, I think he
Yeah.
could do it as well.
Oh, again, the game that I couldn't remember we have after Athletic over the weekend is Girona away. So yeah, brace yourselves, man. Like, we have to
Oh,
really,
that's a tricky game. Always a tricky game because they
we have
used to
to.
beat us a lot back in the day, if you remember. 2018 to 2021 days.
Yeah.
But
We have
last
to
2 years
be really
they've
up for it.
undergone
We
changes in
can't.
management, and then
Yeah.
it's different. They went back and came back up, right?
Yeah. I
They
think
went
they had
down
a
and came
they
back.
had a season in the second and then came back. But yeah, we have to really be up for this dogfight, man, because we can't have second halves like we did tonight. And we should be very honest when we travel away to these, pretty decent sides in Bilbao and Girona. They're gonna really not give us the time and space that Getafe afforded us, especially at home.
Mm.
We have to be more clinical. We have to be more ruthless. We have to be a lot more on the front foot to come away with wins. And anything less than a win at this point, with Barcelona basically paving way for us to kind of snatch back the lead, it's going to be catastrophic if we don't do it. I can't even begin to stress the importance of this fortnight. It is going to basically define where this management goes, where some of our big name players goes. If this season doesn't pan out the way it needs to pan out,
Yeah.
guys like Chouameni might find himself elsewhere come 2026. It's crazy. I really haven't deeped about what is going to happen um towards the summer. But if the season doesn't really pan out the way you know we would like it to pan out, especially in terms of the big two trophies, we should at least have La Liga in the bag. Since we are afforded this luxury of basically being allowed to claw back the deficit, and Barcelona are going to be still dropping points. We have to just to capitalize and hope for the best. That we can go to you know wherever the fuck they're playing, Montjuic or New Camp, and get something out of the game. Um, but yeah, midfield is done. Let me get to a few more of the comments. Mr. Fortress is mentioning, would like to point out that Jude was my man of the match. I would also like to state that we played 17th placed at home. Just an innocent observation, definitely not suggesting anything. Yes, that's the thing, right? Like they struggle to always stay up. Getafe, man, we have to really put that into perspective.
Yeah.
Right, Mr. Fortress is mentioning in the bright side, new Asensio is reminding me of Manuel Sanchez in his second year. If you guys don't know, Manuel Sanchez is one of
Okay, I'm too young for this.
one of the players. Even I'm too young for this. What do you think? I'm fucking 50. Manuel Sanchez is from the late 80s. I haven't watched him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's one of the players with the most number of titles. I think he has 17 titles with us. Over 500 appearances for the first team. Yeah, he was a stone cold center back at the back. Not really tall, but yet super super good. Especially with his tenacity. But yeah, the pungent. We read the pungent comment. Mr. Fortis was mentioning, I'm worried about Rudiger's fitness. Playing every game needs rest. I mean, Rudiger has played, I think, 17 of the 18 games, started 17 of the 18 games this season. It's crazy. There's going to come a point we will need to kind of rest him. But Rudiger, man, didn't really have much to do. But let's talk about Asensio. He is growing in confidence game by game style.
The defense in general just didn't have much to do because Getafe were throwing aimless punches for the first half, and then most of the second half was again in our favor. But they had a few things to say by the end of the game. I know they had a couple sustained periods of possession where they hit the framework, I think, twice. And Asensio in particular, his composure on the ball is always just very impressive.
Yeah.
I don't think he's been tested in the air much, but even generally, I don't think there's any flaws to his game that have been uncovered just yet. I think at the top level, for someone coming through the academy at the top level, that would have been exposed pretty quickly if there was any glaring issues with his game. Getafe were just too direct, I think, for most of that first
half. Yeah. Pretty much
They were
telegraphed,
banking,
right?
yeah, they
So
were banking on their front to hold it up and then to build from there, and it was really difficult to counterattack from there because again, Ceballos, Rudiger, these guys were really solid over there.
mhm.
Didn't give them an inch of space, and even their set piece, I think their set piece game is generally considered to be one of the strongest in La Liga.
Yeah.
But we didn't again give them much there.
If you remember,
Um,
there was a corner where Fran did exceptionally well to beat Neom for the header,
mhm,
and it kind of nicked off Neom again, and then went
right,
out for a goal kick. So I think
right.
we should give credit to Fran, who is
Yeah,
even shorter than Mendy, who
that's
actually at least attempted to basically defend
That's
something
the thing
aerially.
with
But
Fran. So
mm,
that's the thing with Fran. He goes for it, and he's a very brave player. He's
yeah,
not shy of looking like
mm,
stupid on the football pitch because he
mm,
knows that it will happen time and again where
yeah,
an opponent will embarrass him or run past him, but he's not
mhm,
shy of taking that risk, and that's the
mm,
thing I like about him. But again, moving past Fran, going back to Getafe, uh, yeah, generally they just didn't test as much, didn't have much to lay out
mm,
even in the second half. I think
yeah,
um like for all the combative nature and the aggressiveness in their intent that they generally
mhm,
show, any Bordalas and any Getafe side
yeah,
historically shown, in possession they've always just looked very timid and very unsure of themselves.
yeah. It's
So
off the
unless
ball. They just fucking bump into people and get
yeah,
them off their
25
feet.
25 fouls to 6.
Yeah, yeah.
So unless they finished one of those two chances they had,
Mm.
again, luck was not in their favor tonight.
In the favor, yeah, yeah, 100%, 100%. But yeah, since we were on Fran, let's quickly talk about Fran. Or should we talk about Fede? We completely didn't talk about Fede. I think we should talk about Fede before we
More
move
about Fede
into
than Fran.
yeah.
Fran wasn't really exceptional or more than ordinary tonight.
Fede, man, like you were mentioning in the earlier version, right? We had an alpha version of this post match 10 style, but you were mentioning Fede's effectiveness and how much does he work for this team to succeed? Because just imagine a world without Fede Valverde operating in a right flank.
Yeah.
It would be a completely different outlook of the side.
Yeah, it seems we only give the number 8 to players who are basically irreplaceable.
Yeah,
Because
that's
this guy
that's a
is
fun way to look at it.
irreplaceable.
Mm,
The amount of work he puts in, the amount of runs he's making back with his back to
yeah,
goal. And even playing as a midfielder, he's basically the pseudo right back because Vasquez was
mm,
often caught in in
yeah,
forward.
caught up field. Yeah.
So
If you remember, there was an
really does.
instance where Fede is tracking back and Asensio is running like Asensio and Fede is basically running side by side, and then Asensio
Mm,
sees Fede zoom past him. It's
yeah,
almost like Fede is like, let me do it.
and that was second
Asensio
half
could
as
have,
well.
yeah,
So the guy
mm,
basically has four lungs, man.
mm,
It's impossible to outrun him, and there's no aspect
yeah,
of his game where you can, literally
yeah,
pick and complain. He doesn't even give the fans the luxury of, saying that he's terrible about this particular thing. I think
yeah,
tomorrow, if you ask him to play number 9, he could do that as well.
yeah. He would make a pretty decent number 9,
Yeah,
over the
because
likes of
he has a
Mbappe,
rocket of a
because
shot.
he'll hold up the ball. He has pretty good strength to kind of fend off defenders. Decent in the air. He's not exceptional, but decent in the air. Has a presence. He has an absolute presence.
Yeah,
Because you see him. He's a bull. You wouldn't mess with him on the pitch. So yeah, man, Fede. I think he had just won a couple of bad games in 18 games so far this season. Sahil, that just goes to show his consistency is well, well and above, light years beyond his peers.
yeah.
And an
I
irreplaceable
think Fede and Rudiger are the
jigsaw.
only ones to
Mm,
do it on that level of consistency this season, even
yeah.
with regards to their fitness.
Mm,
I
mm.
don't think Fede was injured, and neither was
No,
Rudiger. I think those are
he
the
has
only
played every single game. Started
yeah,
every single
those
game.
are the
Was
only two
substituted
that
three
have
times.
not been injured.
Mm,
So it,
yeah.
it takes a certain level of fitness and obviously mentality to keep going
Touch
game
wood.
after
Touch wood. Touch wood. Touch wood. You know. Say mashallah, say mashallah. That's the
Yeah.
way we move. But big up Fere, man, always. But yeah, I think we should, kind of come and have a discussion about Fran and Mendy, because Fran's synergy, especially with Mbappe tonight, was one of the biggest positives for me.
Yeah.
Down the left, I think they trusted each other. I think the midfielders trusted each other to kind of find Fran when and where they needed him to be. Some neat little runs. Obviously, we all know that the only thing he can do once he gets behind the defensive line of the opposition is to kind of cross it. Like his overall game is still a bit lacking, but Mendy is going to be thinking, "Oh yeah, like I'm in for some serious competition this year."
Yeah.
Mm,
That's true, and I think right now, I think the way Ancelotti looks at it is
mm.
these low risk games, so to
Yeah,
say, are
yeah,
more for Fran than for Mendy. But
mm,
when you look at a European night, say away at
yeah,
Atalanta, I don't think he's going to be messing about because they're going to have a
yeah,
certain plan that is tailored around Real Madrid's inefficiency. So if you go and put
yeah,
Fran over there, then they're going to
yeah,
put a really, really strong right winger over there.
mm,
Uh, and I don't think many teams in La Liga, certainly not the bottom half, will try to do that. They're always going
mm,
to come to the Bernabeu and try to play the way they always have. They're not going to
yeah,
change too much because
yeah,
they know that something, even one player out of position, can offset that
yeah.
role. So they don't want to disturb that. So against low risk opposition like Getafe, this is the perfect game, to give Fran his minutes, and he clearly does. Obviously, he boosts the left wing to an
Mm-hmm.
extent. Even when Vinicius is playing, I think he's an extra option going down that left flank, overlapping. Vinicius does it more than Mbappe, so he's not really highlighted that much when Vinicius plays.
Yeah,
But
he doesn't have a link up with
that's true.
Fran.
When
Mm, mm,
so when Mbappe comes in centrally, he's really a solid option to play on that overlap. And then
mm,
obviously, like you said, is his crossing game is one dimensional.
yeah,
But if he learns how to cut back accurately and even link from there, or if he
yeah,
learns how to come infield from there, the way
mm-hmm.
Vasquez does, with step overs
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that, then that can be a real boost to his game.
He's brimming with confidence. If you remember his attempt to Trivela, the shot,
Yeah.
which was kind of a bit over the
Mendy doesn't
bar.
even get in those positions. That's my point.
Yeah, yeah. Mendy is
Mendy
very
doesn't give
passive.
himself the chance to,
Man, he has a decent
score.
shot. Like if you remember his goal against Atlanta, like it was
Yeah,
it was forever ago now.
right
But
foot, yes.
yeah, so
109th minute ish.
yeah, I think because of how good he is defensively, I think the whole team just expects him, and he himself expects him to be, kind of sidelined by his defensive duties. But
Yeah,
Mendy is a player who can do a bit going forward. He gets sometimes unfair criticism, I feel, but
but he doesn't want to take
yeah,
that risk anymore because he knows that
yeah,
he's not good enough to prove it
yeah,
attacking wise.
yeah.
But also going the other
Mm,
way, his defensive game does seem to collapse occasionally.
mm.
And especially
It's
with
more a
Salah.
case of this season. This
Yeah,
season.
but again, that's a more recency thing. I'm talking about currently, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Salah showed us why, more
Mm,
more and more Real Madrid fans are starting to question
mm,
Mendy's even his
mm.
defensive presence.
Yeah. Ancelotti, like we expected, he was mentioning, a lot of quality from Van Garcia. I liked him, but we have to remember we also have Mendy and we won two Champions Leagues with him. So yeah, we all
It's
know how
keeping
that's
everybody
gonna pan
happy,
out.
basically.
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah. 100%, 100%. Right. I think we should read a couple of the comments quickly.
sure.
Right. Mr. Fortes is mentioning Sanchez won 18 trophies, probably. Pick up Moon, he was mentioning Jude, Raul, Ceballos were best players on the pitch. Yeah, Raul Asensio, man, I'm really getting kind of like him. He has a knack for basically alleviating pressure with his driving runs. And he had he had won, I think, 6 out of 7 duels that he attempted in the first half. That was, you
Yeah.
know, that was the most attempted by any player on the pitch. So he's up for the fight. He's up for the fight. He doesn't shy away. I remember though, like he sometimes, his naivety in terms of experience, and his age kind of pops up, especially when the ball is kind of being recycled back to the center backs, and it's with Asensio, he kind of uh, opts for something a bit more complex
Out of the
and
box. Yeah.
yeah, out of the box instead of just doing the trivial thing. Ancelotti was kind of losing his mind um,
But also
with that.
he's 21, he's not 18, so
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah,
played
yeah,
enough in the Castilla to know
yeah. I
the
know.
basics, right?
But the step up from the Castilla to the first team is a pretty
Very
major
massive.
one, and
Yeah.
he has to get accustomed to it. This is a good run of games where he can really test himself, and like we have to really kind of think about what is going to happen to his place when, like you said earlier, when Chouameni comes back. It'll be a huge blow for him to be dropped. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen, but if it does, Carlo do like Chouameni being slotted in center back. It's gonna be so many weeks of well earned hard work
Hmm.
go to absolute waste. It's gonna derail the consistency that he has been showing as well.
Yeah.
Um, But yeah, Mr. Photos is mentioning our last market defender for Hierro. I think he's also referring to Sanchez. Bigger Moon, he was mentioning whenever Ceballos played in this season, he has played well. Yeah, you could say that he was above average, I think, this season so far. Yeah, Ashik was mentioning, don't jinx it, guys. We can't afford injuries anymore. Ashik was mentioning Fran was brilliant today with his overlapping, and this was an ideal match to do so. Yeah, like you said, Sahil earlier. Um, he was also asking, anyone surprised about Carlo not using any subs except just Arda and Luca? I was surprised. Hendrik didn't really, like I have no idea why he keeps Mbappe on. Hendrik could, definitely benefit from a run out. But then you saw against Liverpool when shit hits the fan, Hendrik is just thrown in the deep end to just go do something. Like I don't
Yeah.
really back that.
I
Um,
agree with you actually. It's weird to
it's
see him get
very
minutes against
unfair.
Liverpool. Yeah.
Yeah. All of a sudden, then Mbappe is kind of scapegoated, and then Endrick is thrown in the deep end. It just is ludicrous. But yeah, and Ancelotti also said Rodrigo wasn't at 100% today, but he played 1 hour, and I liked him. He will be better next game. He looked rusty, and I hope he gets back to his brilliant self. Right. I think that's pretty much it. Anything else that I kind of jotted down? That's pretty much it. San Mames away. Next is going to be another vital game. I'm not sure who Barcelona exactly is going to be playing. Let me just quickly check
Mallorca.
who. Oh yeah, Mallorca. You had mentioned earlier, so that's going to be that's going to be an interesting watch. But like I said earlier, Sahil, I wouldn't expect much from the game, and we keep our expectations low. Sometimes it might surprise us.
Hmm.
With that said, Sahil, final thoughts, man. Like, do you really think now, especially now that we have a way back this season?
We have a way back in the league, yes. In the Champions League, we still have a lot of work to do. And then
Hmm.
from the knockouts, I think we can really start thinking about
Yeah.
balancing out or compensating for La Liga.
Hmm.
But now it's at a point where because of the fact that Barcelona have dropped points in the league, you cannot completely disregard this competition. So and you have basically a spot up for grabs in the Champions League as well. You don't want
Hmm.
to give up on it before you have to. I know we're in.
Yeah.
I think we're way outside the 24th, to the top 24. But you've got to keep hoping. We have 3 games to go. I
Hmm.
believe we're going to win at least 2 of them. It's
Yeah.
just the away games that I'm not sure of. I know Atlanta away we will because you need a reaction from the team in the Champions League.
Hmm.
Brest away, I'm not too sure. Salzburg at home, I think will win.
Hmm.
Um, and again, San Mamés away. It's the away games that will haunt us, and it's the injuries that will keep coming back. Because it's really really idealistic to think that we aren't going to lose any more players, be it
Yeah.
long term or short term.
Yeah.
It's going to keep happening um, because of the intensity at which these games are coming at us.
Mm.
And then the Club World Cup comes into the equation later in the month, so
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to give it any like. I use the word disregard, and I think that's fitting for the competition. I know it's in Qatar, and
Hmm.
hopefully my
Are we
family
going to
will.
play Botafogo?
I think so, yeah, but I
Hmm.
don't think we're going to take any chances there with the likes of Vinicius or
Yeah, we won't be starting our. Yeah,
Bellingham.
yeah.
Uh, so it's just a matter of keeping this going. We've looked good in
Hmm.
the league. We've looked
Hmm.
clinical to an extent. I
Yeah,
know not today,
yeah,
but in the past two games,
yeah.
our midfield has been clicking. The
Three
right
clean sheets in a row
Yes, the
in the
right
league side.
combinations in midfield and very, very solid defensive record. We've just got to keep building on that and, basically cross our fingers and hope that Barcelona keep dropping points the way they are.
Yeah.
Uh, and then we can, go on and think about the rest of the season from January onwards. I know the usual January collapses come early this season, but we've got to deal with it.
Ashik is way out of line, but I have to read this because of the wordplay. You mentioned I'm
Okay.
not worried about Brest. It will be big, but we can juggle Brest and La Liga. It's a bit NSFW, but
We
I would let
didn't.
it
That's the
slide.
thing. We weren't worried about Lille as well.
I know, right? I know. But
So
yeah.
any team on any given day, if they have a really, really good
Mm, mm,
showing,
mm,
and if their fans
yeah,
are up to it in an away stadium, they
yeah.
could take points of us. Even a draw there isn't a good result for us by any means.
Atalanta is the big one, man. The run of form has been like I don't know what happened this weekend with Atalanta. Like
Mm,
I haven't really checked. I can quickly check, but they have really outdone themselves. Especially this season,
yeah,
they look like a team that is really firing on all cylinders. I think they play Roma away tomorrow, but we should really keep our eyes focused on La Liga since we have
mm,
some
yeah.
uh, some glimmer of hope reinstated back into the equation. I
Yeah.
was very
Best case
happy with some
scenario,
of
we
the
go into Atalanta top of the
hmm,
league. So that will be a good, boost.
good, yeah.
Yeah,
Psychologically, that'll do us wonders. And then some of the combinations today was really really pleasant to watch. I'm not sure if it's entirely bought on by Mbappe kind of showing himself a bit more, or is it down to the midfield synergy being perfected to the T. But or Getafe, a team that is basically borderline, facing relegation, giving us no questions to think about. I'm not sure, but I was very very surprised and happy about some of the combinations, especially
right.
from the attackers and the midfielders. And I hope this midfield equation remains stable headed into San Mames. I do think that is going to be key for us to come out of Bilbao alive, because if we don't, it might look like we shot ourselves in the foot, and
Yeah.
we have completely derailed our glimmer of hope again. But yeah, man, I think that's pretty much it. Big up people in the chat, big up people who are going to be tuning in later as well. I would always like to point out our audio listeners are a huge part of what we do. They have been our backbone, our support from day one. Thank you guys for always sending us positive and negative feedback. You guys make this pod the way it is because you guys help us make this a two-way street. It is super humbling when you guys mention that we accompany you on night drives, on your gym routines, etc. It's super nice to hear. Keep supporting our little dream. Go show some love to Sed's fan cams as well. That's going to be coming out shortly, probably today and tomorrow, and in the coming days leading up to Bilbao as well. Go show some love. A lot of hard work, blood, and sweat goes into it as well. It ain't easy really doing this outside the Bernabeu, especially with the crowd being majorly Spanish speaking. Sid is pretty decent in Spanish, but when we are an English channel, the Spanish crowd really doesn't fancy to speak to us, so it is a bit of a struggle. There's a bit of a a test to basically kind of find people who are a bit knowledgeable about the game, especially who can speak in English. So yeah, go show Sid and the boys some love as always. Um, yeah, man. Again, a friendly reminder: go check out Manscaped. Cyber Monday sales is going to be up and running tomorrow. I think the Black Friday sale is still running, ongoing. LB at 20 to get 25% off. This is the deepest sale that is available on Manscaped. Obviously, the pioneers of below the waist grooming for men, but they have a huge catalog of products, ranging from nose trimmers, beard trimmers, shampoos, hair conditioners, you name it, loungewear, boxers. Holiday season is around the corner. You could get yourself something, get something for your man. If you're a girl or a woman, this is the perfect excuse to kind of support the channel. Go check out Fanatics' biggest online collection of sports apparel in the world. Go check them out. Official partners of Real Madrid and La Liga. Link in the description below. Make sure you use our affiliated link so that they know you guys came through us. Also, as always, shout out to our podcast partners as well. Talksport, the world's biggest sports station. Go check them out, show them some love. But keep your eyes peeled for the fan cams and for the preview with Jacob and Farouk. Hopefully, come in on Monday or Tuesday. But yeah, people, until next time, Ala Madrid.
Ala Madrid.